Okay, we'll begin this meeting now. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Supervisor Bowman.
Here.
Clerk Hurst here. Treasurer Patterson.
Here.
Trustee Laporte.
Here.
Trustee Addie.
Here.
Trustee Rush.
Here.
Trustee Morgan. I haven't heard from her, so.
Okay, we'll begin with the approved agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support. Mr. Supervisor, can I suggest an amendment, which is, I think everybody got a copy of the Pentak Kobier retainer agreement to provide services to the township regarding, working with us on the public services agreement.
Sure, I'll make that motion to add that as an agenda item.
To make it H, you want?
Yes.
H, and I'll support that.
Can we get the language for that, and how you want it to read?
Sure. Motion to approve the retention of, just put Randy Pentock, P-E-N-T-I-U-K, to assist the township regarding legal matters pertaining to Republic services. Just so you all know, Mr. Pentock's an expert when it comes to landfill operations, and we're looking at a few matters, so that's the background of this.
Okay, the motion and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, moving on, veterans presentation.
Oh,
I just had a stroke there.
Good evening, Board. In light of your next board meeting is the day after Veterans Day, we have a little ceremony tonight regarding our veterans in Martinsville Cemetery.
Good evening. Veterans Day, originally known as Armistice Day, is a federal holiday in the United States observed annually on November 11th to honor military veterans of the United States Armed Forces. It began and now coincides with other holidays, including Armistice Day and Remembrance Day, which are commemorated in other countries, marking the anniversary of the end of World War I. Major hostilities of World War I formally ended at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, when the armistice between Germany went into effect. At the urging of major U.S. veteran organization, Armistice Day was renamed Veterans Day in 1955. Walter Augustiniak, World War I, Private 2nd Deployment Battalion, 160th Depot Brigade, Black Soldiers Matter. Maynard Babcock, Civil War, Private, Company K, 65th New York Infantry Regiment. Jesse Barner, World War I, Corporate Company C, 421st Reserve Labor Battalion Quartermaster. Norman F. Colburn, Civil War, Private, Company C, 24th Michigan Infantry. Amos Cooley, Civil War, Corporal, Company H, 24th Michigan Infantry, wounded left side, $3 monthly pension. George N. Kopp, World War II. Roland Dallas, World War II. George B. DePort, Private First Class U.S. Army. David Farr, Civil War. Private Company E, 10th New York Heavy Artillery. Stephen Guest, Civil War. Company F, 16th Michigan Infantry, discharged for disability, $8 monthly pension. William Gunning, Civil War, Private Company A, 23rd Illinois Infantry. Philanderer W. Hodgman, Civil War, Company G, 20th Infantry, discharged for disability, wounds, and disease. Alfred D. Hurd, Private First Class, U.S. Army. Alfred W. Hurd, U.S. Army. Kenneth G. Hurd, Corporal, U.S. Army. James Johnson, Civil War, Company F, 102nd U.S. Colored Infantry. Vincent King, Civil War, Company E, 7th Cavalry. Died, his wife received $8 monthly pension. Samuel D. Loggins, Vietnam, U.S. Navy. Carl Lashinsky, World War II, U.S. Army. Charles Martin, Civil War, Company G, Michigan 24th Infantry Regiment. Reuben Merrill II, War of 1812, Private and Captain Warden's Artillery Battalion. Reuben Merrill III, Civil War, Private, Company K, 24th Michigan Infantry. Diamond Pearl, War of 1812, Private and Captain Stark's 11th Infantry, later Captain Springs Artillery.
Nelson Porritt, Civil War, Private Company B, 2nd Michigan Infantry, wounded by gunshot, loss of his left hip, and discharged. Received $8 pension monthly. He died at age 97 in the Michigan Soldiers' Home in Grand Rapids. William D. Richards, Private, U.S. Army. John Ridland, Civil War, Private Company K, transferred to Company G, became a corporal, then a sergeant. John W. Roncifer, Korean War, Private First Class, U.S. Army. Reuben W. Sanford, Civil War, Private Company I, 75th Infantry, Corporal Unit B, wounded by gunshot to the right hip, received $4 monthly pension. John L. Secord, Civil War, Company H, 5th Michigan Cavalry, honorably discharged due to wounds received in action to the left shoulder, loss of little finger on his right hand, received $8 monthly pension. William Seeley, Civil War, Corporal, Company K, 1st Regiment, Michigan Cavalry, honorably discharged due to losing his right thumb. Wilson Sheldon, Civil War, 10th Regiment, Michigan Infantry. Joseph L. Sherman, Civil War, Private, 6th Regiment, Michigan Heavy Artillery, wounded in action, re-enlisted as a musician. Stephen N. Sherman, Civil War, 6th Regiment, Michigan Heavy Artillery. Thomas M. Sherman, Civil War, Company F, 6th Regiment, Michigan Heavy Artillery. Edward H. Spence, Civil War, Private, Company K, 30th Michigan Infantry. Frank Spence, Spanish-American War, Company M, 35th Michigan Infantry. George F. Spence, Civil War, Company K, 30th Michigan Infantry. Solomon Spink, Civil War, Company E, 1st Light Artillery Battery, died of disease. John H. Terry, Civil War, Company G, 24th Michigan Infantry, wounded in action and discharged. Sylvester Vandercook, Civil War, Company E, 6th Michigan Heavy Artillery. John H. Waltz, Civil War, Private, Company B, 3rd Michigan Cavalry. Joel Williams, Civil War, Company K, 105th Ohio Infantry. We honor all our veterans in Martinsville Cemetery. This is what we have found so far. We thank them for their service, and we thank any men or women who have served.
That was great. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Ms. Mary Van?
No, ma'am. I'm clearing the way for you.
I just have a couple comments, but I want to congratulate Karen and Scott. memorializing not just veterans, but everybody that is buried there, but especially the veterans, to recognize the importance that that cemetery, which was so long ignored and so long neglected, and to know the work you people have done is just phenomenal. And so thank you. May God bless you with much more work to be done, I know. And I've told several people about the fact that the veterans are there. And I was just talking to Marie Krause on Saturday. And I told her that, that you've really got them outlined as to who they are and the dates and everything. And I guess she was kind of surprised about even 1812 and everything. And I think you mentioned me somebody from 1755, am I correct? That you have buried there, but he's not a veteran as such. Right. Oh, okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. But they were born in 1755 or died in 1755? Born. I just like history. I like anything that pertains to the history here in the United States, history over in the Middle East right now. I was just presenting to the Bible study group. I have a Bible timeline, and I'm going to order several copies for people so that they can have that. But it gives a whole glance of history and how important all these things are. And our young people have no concept of the importance of the history. And I commend you both because you did a marvelous job. And Karen has shared with me the information, and I appreciate that very much. But I just, I'm glad that's going on the website at least, but I'd like to have that the day after Veterans Day as a display because, there may be some, I'm going to tell people about it, so maybe some people will come to even see it in person because that was wonderful. Except it goes too fast. You've got to slow it down a little bit. I wanted to read the names better. Anyway, and then my question is about that we have a horrible problem with brush everywhere, right in the streets, everywhere, just hanging over. They're doing an okay job. And they were taking pretty good care of our road. But this last rain, and I commented to Karen Woodington that it is atrocious. It's really bad. Anybody that's got a physical problem with their neck or anything or back, like Barney, it's really terrible to try to ride in the car with that. And then my other thing is, with all the questions about election integrity, and that there's already been talks of some of the people's votes in certain machines across the country, different places, that they put the thing in for one party and then it changed to another party. I want to know, is our election integrities right up to par? Am I correct, Esther, and everything?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to know because people, they begin to question when you hear these reports of different places having problems already. And the early voting, I know, begins here this Saturday, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, okay, so I just wanted to make sure.
We did testing last week,
Okay.
and everything worked fine.
Fine, okay. Because people ask, when you see these comments from the different media sources and then that this has happened, that's happened, I just, I know that it's important for people to know that we can that we trust our local official here too. So thank you. And if we could do something about the brush in the roads yet, thank you very much, and especially this presentation tonight. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, move on to minutes. A, approve the regular board meeting minutes of October 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, moving on, approve warrants of $240,266.72.
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the warrants with a roll call vote.
Support.
Been motioned and supported, roll call vote. Trustee Laporte,
Yes.
Trustee Addie,
Yes.
Trustee Rush,
Yes.
Treasurer Patterson.
Yes.
Clerk Hurst, yes. Supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, financial report, Holtz.
Good evening. Usually what I will do is I will do the quarterly report, but I will talk about that during that part of the agenda item. But also included was the royalty analysis. The check came in, it was either yesterday or today. The August royalties was $162,720.56. So that is bringing us, compared to last year, 3.73% reduction from prior year, which is good. We've been running between 5 and 7% reduction from prior year.
Motion to accept the finance report?
So moved.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Township manager report. Verdict.
Yes, good evening, Board. Also, Deputy and Mr. Holtz, great job on that. Thank you. Now, I am going to, in my report, also ask that yourself or the good Sir Holtz come up and speak to a handout that the committee has pulled together and is on the board table. It'll give you a sense of some site planning activities and who is going to help me. I'm getting to look like I'm on my own. Please.
This is to give you a visual of what the cemetery committee has discussed for eons. You can see the road entry, the red lines show you the road in the cemetery. The gate was put up in 7 Section A to exit in case a vault truck or another truck, or entry, in case they can't fit under the arch sign. We don't see that as a problem, but just in case their boom can't fit under there. And the neighbor back there was willingly let us put that gate there. We can use the corner of his driveway to get in and out whenever it's necessary. So in that, it would abandon that last row of sites, and there are no bodies there. The second is a picture of the stakes for the placement of the columbarium. It's not just a columbarium. The 4 stakes you see in the middle, that's the foundation for the columbarium. The other stakes around it is like your, I guess you can call it a patio or a cement area where you can sit and reflect, visit your loved ones, you know, in the future, benches out there, like you see at other cemeteries. And that's what our monthly meetings on the 3rd Monday of every month have been about. A lot of you board members have attended those meetings. Any questions on your drawing? Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to add one other additional thing.
Oh, I didn't tell them about
X marks the spot on the map. There has been discussion over the past couple days about plans, direction, results from our ground penetrating radar. That is something that we can definitely put together. Both Deputy Armatus and I have a great passion for Martinsville Cemetery, and we would like to share as much as possible anything that you would like about that. How is the big question. If we want to do a workshop or something along that lines, if you want to come to our cemetery committee meeting, we're open to suggestions. If you let us know how you'd like us to present this to you, we will be more than happy to accommodate.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. If I can, the handout you have in front of you for the ARPA spend is for projects accountability, has round numbers in it, because as we all know, in the past board meeting, we approved an over-obligation status to ensure that we had properly utilized all ARPA dollars. So that sheet also represents on it, based on that board approval, the FD vehicle purchase plus the build-outs. Now, the purchase has been complete, and that use of ARPA funds is on the board meeting for approval tonight, approximately $57,000. The build-out is in process. The decal and striping package completed. It will also go in for the e-package build-out, all the electronics. And that is accounted for approximately $69,000. Also in that ARPA spend is the proposed Township Hall roof project, which is also on the board meeting for approval tonight. I put a handout up there about the community center HVAC. I utilized that higher bid in the ARPA spend, substituting what was there in the original purchase through Air Doctor. That was approximately $38,000. The new price, which will include that Air Doctors did not, the heating capability, when we find a vendor that we can approve and the product and the right price, that will virtually eliminate dependency on that boiler. I know that's been a spot of conversation, and we just kind of hate throwing money in those old pipes, and we all agree. So that is in process. I have a couple of other companies. Thank you, Sir Laporte. And also thank you, Mr. Frazier, who also had some contacts that will meet with me and give me some additional pricing and quality quotes for a solid system to do that. It also includes a 3-well stainless sink, which we have secured, will be picked up on Friday, and we've got a little bit of a pickup on that. Total costs about $620. We'd originally obligated $850. We will not need any special permits. There are no changes to core plumbing needs. The plumbing break that we currently have will work just fine. So also, to begin, by the way, the end of this week as scheduled are the park roadways and parking areas. They'll go in, grade them, apply the asphalt product. It'll be the wrap product, the millings. So that'll be put down in its place, should be done, I'm going to guess, weather permitting, by the end of next week. It does not include the projected columbarium costs for Martinsville. And I can't stress enough, I know it's kind of walking down a path that we all would prefer to be a little more solid. We've got to roll this out for bid because we don't buy columbariums every day. I have no idea what the market will bear, what the going price is, or even other vendors that possibly could give us considerations and different options. These are all things that, with a good bid process, it'll give us that education. That also is on the board table tonight, and I hope we have the board's blessing to go forward, put it out for bid, and then have good information that we can manage to. Let me see, roll down. Community center doors, Mary. They planned, no, you didn't. You were just being kind. Thank you. The planned completion of that is no later than November 7th. The only thing that CNS Construction is waiting on are the actual glass doors inserts and Stanley for the 2 assists that we approved. So that front door as well as that back door area will be done by November 7th. Eagle, through 4DPW, we just completed and I submitted our 5-year CDSMI report that's required to Eagle. This is a definition of all service lines, materials utilized, and confirmation. So this was no small task. I'd like to thank DPW staff in helping out. I'd like to thank Hennessy. They also pulled some records to help us be able to complete that. Keep in mind, that is a line-by-line service lines now. And we all know service lines are from the main to the meter, okay? They are not mains. That was approximately 4,000 service lines that had to be accounted for in an inventory spreadsheet. and that got submitted. We met the 5-year plan, and that has gone in representation of our township. Fuel tank refresh, they're putting have already put second coat, actually a third coat, on the tank back there. They're gonna put placards and put the Ballard covers on by the end of this week. Our campus parking lots completed the ADA, the handicap signposts, got the signs put on. Thank you, Chief, for watchdogging. They removed the old posts that were there. The only thing left that has been scheduled for next Tuesday are the basin, the storm drain collars. Those go in next Tuesday. By the way, Sir Treasurer, I got a kind of a late breaking notice from PPM. Graham Forestry is scheduled for November 5th. I told them thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. One thing I've got to bring up is DPW road salt. Unfortunately, over the June and July time period, when it is the best time to order it, the order did not get placed. So I have talked with Bush. They can supply 30 yards worth of product. It's about $68 delivered, and that'll give us enough for basically a season and a half. We've got enough inventory out back for a couple of good storms, but beyond that, if we don't order early, we're going to end up paying a market price that as you need it, it gets higher, like any other commodity. PD restroom floors have been completed. Chief, how do we like them? Perfect, thank you. No more complaining about little 1-inch by 1-inch tiles popping up. And the only thing he's been beating me up routinely about is he was utilizing those tiles to create a mosaic. And it was gonna have my picture on it. I'm not quite sure I know what that means, but yeah. He couldn't come up with dark tiles for the glasses, so I'm glad the board could approve and be of service to you, sir. Thank you. CWA, Building Department Audit. Scott and I have received their planned audit documentation. I would like Scott and I to have the opportunity to review individually and collectively. I will get that to the board once we ensure it's a product we want represented. And CWA, Mike Ridzik, will be here on the next board meeting to present, go over the audit findings, and in fact, give us a couple of proposal alternatives to take a look at. Parks, planned water, so that we all have this in mind. With the changes of the season coming at us, unfortunately, we've got to make plans for turning off our fixed restroom water supply, turning down fountains. We've targeted November 1st to begin that. We're going to play it by ear, but if all of a sudden we've got to make a move because temps look like they're going to dive, I'll send something out to the board so we don't catch you off guard. But we'd love to keep them open as long as we can. Heck, with what we got going on here, I'm ready for another summer, so all good. Other than that, if there are no other questions, that's my report. Thank you.
Motion to accept the TM report.
Support.
The motion and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Treasurer's report, Patterson.
Water and sewer report.
Water and sewer.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of,
Oh,
I'll kind of just, I'll glaze over both and we can look up through both. So, briefly in the water and sewer report, one of the things that we like to, I'd like the board to consider is that in the next week here, because obviously next Tuesday is the deadline to get things submitted for the next board meeting, is I'd like to, we're in the process of trying to go through, get all questions answered for the utility billing, policies, procedures, and all that. That was done back in July. I think we ended up removing it from the agenda. So look for that on the next board meeting, more of a complete, informative one on that. So we're working together on that. And then also maybe a note for the public too, was reading on this, is that All amounts that are due February 29th, 2024, and are still due as of October 31st, 2024, will roll onto the 2024 tax bill. So just so everybody is aware of that. That's part of the water and sewer report. The treasurer's report, the only thing all the board members have this for the treasurer's finance report right here. But the one thing that you know that's not on there is the Flagstar CD that came to maturity got a couple weeks ago, about 2-3 weeks ago. We rolled that over to Michigan Class, so we're still gaining interest on that part. But that's the only thing that has changed on the investment accounts side. So if you have any other further questions, please don't hesitate to ask. But that completes both the water and sewer report and the treasurer's report.
Motion to accept the water and sewer report along with the treasurer's report.
Support.
Been motion and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Planning zoning report, Bobby.
Thank you, Chair. The planning and zoning, right now, we're waiting to have our next meeting, which will be reviewing the number of animals per acre, and zoning for slaughterhouses will be under review. So anybody's interested in those topics, please come on down to our next scheduled meeting. Chair, that ends my report. Motion to accept the planning and zoning report.
Support.
Been motion and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Board response.
Chair, if I may. Looking forward to next Monday, the 28th, from 6 to 8 p.m. for the trunk or treat. And I'm really excited that we're gonna have a lot of board members there. Come one, come all. It's gonna be fantastic fun at the community center. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Tim.
I got one other thing too, Chair, if I could. Well, actually, two real quick things. I could have actually put this in the treasurer report, but something for the board to consider is just more of an FYI. We have a monthly investment committee report, self-named investment committee, that we put together. It's comprised of the township manager, myself, deputy treasurer, and our finance director. And we discuss, it's primarily was focused on investments, obviously, as the name would imply. But it seems that we spend probably, 60% of our time or more sometimes discussing things outside of investments that are really tied into, that go deeper, if you would, when it comes to the finances and fiscal responsibility, or fiscal direction, if you would, of the township. So we've talked over the last couple months of maybe changing the name. Do we add another, possibly another board member, maybe a member from the community, others just to kind of come in, just from our insight, so like maybe we call it the fiscal committee, whatever the case is. But the primary focus is that we really need to, a lot of it focuses around like how long of an investment can we do that won't jeopardize expenses that the township needs. So what is our 1 year or 2 year or 5 year plan, that type of thing. So that a lot of it that's where it seems like our conversation constantly goes back to. So just something to keep in the back of your mind that we'll bring back to the board another time, but we'd like to get some more input from the board, maybe another board member, say maybe Don or somebody that would like to come, because currently we meet in the mornings at 8 o'clock, so whatever would work good for everybody else, but just be cognizant of that. And then another thing too, kind of ties into the same thing, is that when it comes to committees, well, we've got so many different committees. I jokingly said earlier today, I think we have a wallpaper committee, if I'm not mistaken. But what is the purpose of the committee, and how is its relationship in reporting back to the board? They're not really necessarily recommending bodies, but maybe we need to have a defined outlay of what a committee's responsibility and how they communicate with the board is, and what that process is. So again, it's just more communication talks amongst the board here. So anyway, back to you, Chair.
Thank you.
Back to you, sir.
No, I'm gonna end on a positive note.
Was mine a negative or?
No, mine's just gonna be that much greater.
That much greater, huh? All right, since you wanna defer to me, I will move. I'd like to, thank Scott and Karen again. I don't think, if everybody in the room went through and did a thank you, I don't think it would be enough, for the amount of work, the extreme amount of work that it took to bring that veterans presentation together, and to bring the light, through the pictures, and the history, what we have there, and the things that are going to continue to go on to bring additional things to light, for the history of that cemetery. through the pictures and through the information that's been secured. I like I said, when I started, I don't think you could do it enough times to thank them for the history that we have now, that it was now lost, right? It was kind of lost, now it's here, now we have it, it'll be there going forward, so it's tremendous. Following up on your comment about the committees, yes, there were some questions on how we would like to get information and things, and I know for the cemetery committee, I know that, for me, I think it should be handled kind of like the ARPA committee, the information comes through the township manager to the board, that comes from the committee, but I think we probably need to, kind of tighten those things up. We do form several committees because we want to get things done, right? And not everybody can do everything, so we have to share the wealth, but we have to, kind of tighten it up and get to the end of that and say, okay, as information is being developed, as ideas are coming to fruition, how is that information pulled back, to the board so that we get to see it before, item ends up on the agenda and we're asking too many questions about it, So I think it's good that we have these groups and these committees. I agree partly with you, we can be over committed, but there are certain things that need to have committees because they're important, like the cemetery and the information that we're getting, so.
Yep.
I'd like to see the information, coming to us regularly through the township manager who is part of those committees until we, figure out a different way to have that information brought directly back to the board so that we can be informed and educated and be up to speed on these issues, on a regular basis.
A quick follow-up, if I may, Chair. So one of the things that was suggested too, is we had brief discussion today, is maybe we even add another little report, if there is, maybe call it an open committees report line item, to where if there is something that a committee has to report, they could have that moment or the time in the slot of the agenda to present. Just
I mean,
suggestion.
yeah, it's probably for consideration. I would think that if, if under Tony's report, those things could be added, and, unless we're gonna ask each member of a committee to come, it really would be funneled through Tony to kind of bring those committees to life for us, here at the meetings. But I think there's more to come on that.
Yep.
So.
What does the township manager say, film at 11 or something like that, or?
Film at 11? Chair, back to you. Mr. Laporte seems to be now antsy in his chair to speak.
No, I thought I was gonna be able to have something a bit more positive than that, but, honestly, Matt's spot on. That was,
My chair.
well, no, it was great. I mean, I can't say enough about that presentation with the cemetery. That was fantastic. I'd like to see it put on the township Facebook page and so everybody could kind of get a good glimpse of it.
That's a good idea.
It's really cool. I'm that guy, though, that walks around in cemeteries looking at headstones. So, I don't know, normal or not, I don't know, but that's not what I wanted to bring up. Matt I can't top him on that one, that's for sure. You guys did a great job. But I would like to go back to Ms. Band's comments about the accuracy testing that we just performed here, and you asked about the ballots. That was a public accuracy testing process. There was an agenda, a pledge, public was invited, I showed up for it, only because probably it's gonna be in my wheelhouse in the very near future. But much like when I worked at the polls long before I was elected, I found that very interesting, part of that process as well. How they open the polls, how that whole thing unfolds, how the polls close, how that information's translated back to town hall and then ultimately reported to the state. Well, the same process that when I was the observer as the public, the supervisor, the treasurer, the deputy clerk was there running ballots that have known configurations in them through all of our tabulators. And basically you're testing the machines, right? And then those machines spit off tapes. And those tapes have to match the reports that they've just been given, the votes, if you will. And then all that stuff's compiled together under lock and key and sent off to, Esther, can you help me out where you send it to?
No, we leave it in the.
Yeah, but it all gets turned into ultimately the county or state or?
No, it doesn't go to the county. That doesn't go to the county, what we did. That stays in the clerk's office. It's only opened if there was a recount. And then that would, we give that to the county when they would do the recount.
Oh, it's there for verification.
So it's the checks and balances of it. I mean, it was pretty interesting how everything was very controlled, very organized, and the keys and everything under lock and key, you know, that nobody can get into those tabulators. It was just interesting to see, and I encourage the public to come out to it the next time they do a public accuracy testing, and you could see for yourself how your ballots get processed through the machines and how that information would get stored.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for paying attention.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was very interesting. I asked a lot of questions when I was there.
He wouldn't speak when it came to public comment, he'd just defer on that. Talk through the whole
No,
thing.
you said nice job, that's in
Yeah.
the minutes.
Oh, that's
It's
true.
in the minutes. Chair, if I could add on, Mr. Laporte was pressuring me, and I forgot a very important topic to discuss, which was our fire open house that we had on Sunday. So, you know, it was there, the firefighters were there with their bells and whistles on, and the brass and the everything shined up, and it was really neat to see the, you know, kids. I think the hit of the event was our gator rides, you know, with all the kids. I mean, they were just lined up just to, you know, go take another ride, take another ride, take another ride. So it was fantastic. The hot dogs were fantastic, as
Yeah, they
Mr.
were.
Patterson can attest to. I was trying to keep up. Yeah, I was trying to keep up.
Is there
Yeah, it was
anything such as a
fantastic, and I
bat?
really appreciate the efforts of, you know, the firefighters and their wives and the families that, you know, come out to, you know, help make that event, you know, special for the residents. So, back to you, Chair.
Very good event.
Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to new business. A, consider approval to advertise for bids on a 40 niche columbarium.
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 There you go.
I've been practicing that already.
So moved. So moved.
Support. It's been moved and supported, all in favor?
Chair, now that we have a motion, I know Mr. Burdick, you had talked about getting bids. I wanted to make sure, are we just going out for bids for
Sure.
pricing? You know, what is the intent of the bids?
We're going out for bids to see how much it's gonna cost us.
Okay.
But we do wanna put a columbarium in there.
Unless it's $2 million.
Well, if it's too much, then if we don't have money, we
Yeah,
can't do it.
I am in high favor of, you know, the columbariums. You know, my communication prior to this was, you know, I wanted to see a little bit more of, you know, the layout of the cemetery and a site plan and kind of a future, how many we could put in.
Right.
You know, there were some other questions I had that I'd like to see. I don't want this approval to mean that, you know, we're actually buying one, or that's the intent.
No, we're
Yeah.
getting bids on
Yeah.
it. I
Okay.
mean,
That's what I wanted
and
to
then the
make sure.
board can decide.
Yep, that's what I wanted to be sure.
If I may speak, Board, we had an expert come out, met us here in the township. He's like, excuse me, 2.5 hours away, and met with us, what our needs were. And because 68% of your funerals today are cremains, and so we do need housing for them. He sat down, went over what we would like out there. He went out to the cemetery, and for the size and location and everything, in his expert opinion, this is what we needed. And so drew up the specs for us, so it's all done spec-wise, because nobody here knows specs for columbariums, I'm sure. So all this is for bids to give you an idea. Going ahead, you know what the cost is, then you can make a decision on what you want to spend on this.
Chair, if I could ask Karen or Scott, whoever wants to answer the question. So how many, I seen the plot, and I counted, so it looks like 29 or 30 plots that it would take up. And that's a 40 niche columbarium. Is that 40 each side? Is that 80, or is it
It's
just
20
40?
on each side.
So it's a total of 40. So we're actually going net negative. If you had 2 cremated remains on each one of those, it would be 60 burials, but, so we're actually going negative on this particular one, right?
2 in each one.
Okay,
But
yes,
what we've
that's what I
also done
wanted.
is, we have also planned this area that if this sells out, that there's room for 2 more of those. So we do have the room to grow. We didn't just want to buy 3 right off the bat. I mean, because that's a lot of money.
Right, and that just goes with my questions where I wanted to see kind of where the layout of the plan was for everything. I know we have it now, but that's what my questions were, and I'm for columbariums, but I just wanted to kind of have a formal site plan for the cemetery kind of approved before we're looking at putting one in, so that we know where we would project to put them, where they would be, and, those type of things. So that was my only concern was, I wanted to kind of get through that part of the phase before I was looking at, installing one.
Yes.
So.
And part of that will be to tell you, because we went through actually 3 different site plans within the cemetery, and we really whittled it down based on our ground penetrating radar locations, things that we have found in the cemetery. So again, we're more than happy to present. We just need to find a time.
Yep. And I know you mean when you say found, we actually did find, so.
Fine.
Quick question, then follow up on that, because, so I was doing the same thing, I was counting, we had like 27 plots, it looked like, 9 times 3 is what it looked like, but then in this, is there 20 on each side?
20 on each side of the columbarium. It's essentially 2 sides.
So it's
think,
40,
yeah,
40 spots, so it's.
Plus 2, she said that.
but you can put 2 in each one.
So it'd be 80 then?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a net gain,
Yeah.
I thought, for some reason I thought it was a net.
And I always thought it was a net gain, but when I was doing the math, I'm like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That would be one of the good purposes for doing it is net gains.
correct.
Thank you. Sure, I've done with all my questions.
Okay,
We got
all
a
right.
motion and support?
I had a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, B, moving on. Consider approval to advertise for bid on the Calvarium, foundation and a 10 by 20 concrete courtyard at Martinsville Cemetery.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, C, consider approving the use of ARPA funds to purchase the budgeted 2024 expedition for the fire department at a cost of $56,995.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported.
Quick comment, good too, again,
Okay.
there's some question on this, so this is, again, too, further, if you look at the agenda items, says this will be a reimbursement to the fire fund from the ARPA fund, so that it's not, we're not buying another one, this is just a reimbursement. We're not buying a second expedition.
We
so-
only ordered one.
Correct. There was a question about it, so I just want to clear that up.
Okay.
Yep, motion support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, moving on. D, consider approval to withdraw the police department window bid from EMU Global Services due to their inability to fulfill the project.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Moving on. E, consider approval to close the township hall on December 12th, 2024 from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. for the annual employee holiday luncheon.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And board, if I could repeat, just like in years past, we're open to donations.
Say that again?
Loosen up your wallet, Sir Treasurer. The TM will once again this year be buying the meats, so we'll take it from there. Any support would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Super.
And where do we make these donations
All
at?
to me directly.
Does that follow our cash handling policy? I just want to make sure of that, so.
Yeah, is that in violation of
I
our
think
cash
that might be-
handling policy,
I'm not
Bart?
sure. It could be. I'm not sure.
Go home and get this treatment from a professional.
Okay. F, consider approval to accept a bid from Pristine Roofing in the amount of $38,400 for the removal and replacement of the Township Hall roof to be paid by ARPA funds.
So moved.
Support.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
G, consider approval for Mr. Bill Kenyon's proposal to continue education of the Sumpter Township's leadership team.
So moved.
Support?
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Moving on, announcements.
Nope, item H.
H.
Oh,
H.
Oh, yeah, we
I
got
think
it.
Matt's got it.
I
Got
have
the
part of
verbiage
it,
for
but, you can fill in where I leave off if you would, Attorney Young.
Randy, who is
Item H is consider approval of Randy Pentock retainer for landfill issues.
To assist in legal services with landfill issues.
It's
yeah.
actually okay with me. I mean, there's no reason to go on for days on it, so succinct enough, so it's fine with me.
So moved.
Support?
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Announcements.
Well, I have an announcement. I want to make sure that everyone knows that early voting starts this Saturday. And the hours, I think, are 8 to 2,
Weekends is 7 to 3.
7 to 3 on the weekends, okay. And during the week, it's 8:30 to 4:30. And it's right here in this boardroom. So you can come, vote your ballot, and put it in the machine. So,
Very cool.
Did they cross your name off then, that you voted, or just like you voted on it?
Yep.
Sure. I got one more. Good to go under the announcements. I wanted to make sure that, I went over to the vendor market. It looked like a great success to me. The building was packed with vendors, so if you didn't get a chance to go over this time, they'll be having another one soon. But there was just an amazing amount of tasty treats that were made here locally. And, thanks for, Mary Ann and all the other seniors that helped put on that event and staff that helped put on that event, because it looks like it's getting more and more successful because it was jam-packed with vendors. So it was great to, spend some time there talking to the vendors and, local vendors that were there, not just, out of the community vendors that came in, so. Thank you, Chair.
One final announcement, we want to thank Melissa Paquette, the police department. She put the video together, we gave her the information.
Thank you, Melissa.
Excellent.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support?
the motion is supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.